Alright, well this is Matthew Knight, and this is apparently my co-anchor, Atlas the Cat. And today we are on ARK Survival Evolved, and we are going to be making you guys a raft just like this one here. Now what I'd like to show you is over here, I've actually gathered together all of the materials that are needed to build this. I have a couple in my inventory already. We've got the raft down there, so these are all the pieces. I will include or try to screenshot up a list of all the materials you need. I have an exact list that'll show exactly what you needed to put together to create all this and to make this raft exactly like you see it here. So I'll have that at either the end of the video, the beginning of the video, or probably while I'm talking right now. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to start off by laying down our raft. This is obviously the most important part of what we're doing here, is getting the raft and the foundation set on it. The raft itself is pretty easy, you can't really screw that up. There it is, it's a raft. Jump over onto here. First thing I always do is I hide the sail, and I do this by holding down the E button to pull up the radio menu. And I change the name. This one is going to the Arctic Plateau. So the reason I named it Arctic Plateau is that these rafts are actually basically moving home bases. So you can see down there is the pilot hole where you drop down to pilot the ship itself. And we have a preserving bin. I put 6 of these on here, which are large boxes. I have a compost bin. And then there's a little room with a bed, so you can spawn directly here. You can also lock yourself in there. On this side we have mortar and pestle. We have a smithy. We have 3 forges. And the front is a ramp. Now this is the back of the ship over here. This up here, this is the front of it. So this ramp, I actually drive this straight up onto beaches, and then I can load, unload dinosaurs, do whatever I have to do. It's actually pretty nice. So we're going to start over here. We're going to get back across here, jump onto this. The first thing that we're going to do is one of the more difficult parts of this whole procedure, and it's pretty easy to mess it up. So I've known to do it more than once, and I found one of the best ways is to start off with another ship. We're actually going to move this one up just another smidge here, so I want it pretty close up on it. I don't want it quite touching it just yet. There we go. That should get good. Now I have a good line of sight. I can get these lined up pretty well. You want to have it where those 2 boards in the middle are just flanking either side of the I don't know what it's called. We call that a rudder? The rudder stick. Yeah, we figured that out. Alright, so now we've got a platform over here. Looks like it's pretty well centered on our raft. That's a pretty good sign that this is going to work out right. So we want to start adding the rest. These corners are where it can get tricky, so I always like to be... Let's see if it has a snap point. Good, it has a snap point. That's a good sign. Alright, at this point we're going to take our raft. We're actually going to drive it a little further away, so we won't be needing that other one quite so close now. And one last one on this side, or 2 last ones. Alright, so you see what we did here is we created out of 8 wooden foundations, just a platform around there. It leaves a spot to drive. You know, I call it the pilot hole. Next, we're going to take wood ceilings, which I also have kind of pre-prepped up in the space here. And we're going to put those on the front of the ship. Now the front of the ship is the side opposite of this rudder. Put those up there. I'm going to jump back over now that we've gotten rid of some of the foundations, some of the other weight of stuff I was going to carry. And we're going to go back in the box over here. I'm going to grab the window frames, the windows, door frames, door, railings, ramps, and wood boxes. The rest of the stuff I'm going to leave in here for now, because we don't need it yet. All that stuff can go in at the end. This is all the stuff that's really kind of needs to go in this early framing section of what we're doing here. Now if you can't get on your platform, don't worry. You just come in from underneath at any time, hop up on drive, and when you pop it off, you're right up on top of this platform. Alright? So now what I want you guys to notice here is that on the front side we have our ramp. So I put these 3 in first before I add anything else. I like to put the ramp in just to avoid any complications that could happen. I've never really had any, but then again I've always done it this way, so it's always worked well. Gotta be real careful. You don't want to place that wrong or you'd have to destroy it, and put another one in there. This is kind of a tricky part. And I always feel a lot better after that's been done. Next we're going to go ahead and start working our way up the side here. Adding these all the way up one side. Now when we get to the end, the back side over here, I want to show you guys what we're going to do. The back side is going to have 3 on the back, and then it's going to meet at a corner. And the reason we do that is that, first off, these guys can only hold so many things, so they can't be overloaded with items. You can't put 1,000 items attached to these platforms. It just doesn't work. The other reason is that there's no support in that far corner. So you can put a piece there, but you can't put railings on it, or things like this. And I like my ships to be clean, kind of well built. It's a bit of an aesthetic choice as well. Alright, so we're going to go over here. We're going to start back up on the front side here. Looks like I did one too many there. So we're going to demolish that wood ceiling off. Got a little overzealous of myself. I will have to run over here real quick just to make sure that we have everything we need when it comes down to it. Grab a little bit of wood. Attach some fiber because I'll need to build another one of those. Alright, so I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab the door frames, the window frames. While I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and grab those windows, the railings, and really this is the most important item here, is these, to get in at this point of the build, is these large wood boxes. They need to be put in a certain order just to make sure that they all fit, and that you can get them all on the deck easily. I'm sure you can get them in another way, but this is just the simplest way to go about it. So the first thing we're going to do is, if you look on this side, we're going to start our railing off. Start it from this end. These go in fast and easy, so it's also an easy way to make mistakes. Now you'll notice I'm not putting a railing across this back step here, and the exact reason is because it's so easy to dock 2 boats together like this. So when you have multiple rafts, now I've got these 2 rafts, and if I had them sailing in the open sea and 2 guys are meeting up, boom, I just knock this up like this, line them up, and we've got one large plateau. You know, it's a really easy thing to do. Just to be able to, for different captains to come together with their ships if you have a tribe with a lot of guys that have these. Now I use this exact same design now pretty much every time I build one of these barges. So try to get that in there. Alright, so you notice we're out of railing, and we still have a little further to go. That's because that's where the captain's house is going to go. But before we do that, we're going to get into these large wooden boxes. I'm actually going to go ahead and move these to position 5 there so they're closer to where my keystrokes need to be for my finger. We're going to try to get the first one as close as we can to this corner over here. And we're going to try to plant it right up in that corner. Then, without moving, we're going to put another one down and just slowly, carefully back up until we can put a second one. You want to get these as close together as possible and as tight to the railing as possible. And the last one, if you do it right, and we did, should come just before that railing ends in the back side there. So that worked out really well. Now let's put in some windows. Now with these ones, you kind of want to be careful because it's easy to get them flipped around. They want to go one direction or the other. I like to make sure, and once again it's aesthetic, but I like to make sure that all my buildings are kind of built the same way. So on these you can see the uprights are turned inwards. That's right where I want them. Put that in place. Now that doesn't guarantee all the others are going to line up. They don't always, but it helps them line up a lot more. It gives them a snap point to attach to. So I'm going to make sure all those get in, facing the right way. One of the reasons I like that is because if I decide to paint this ship later on, it's going to make the paint job look a lot nicer. I put the door on the very first panel up there. I don't have any particular thought process or reason why I do it. I just do like putting it up there. And this is why we needed those extra roof tiles earlier that I accidentally laid out. We should have enough materials to get what we need. There it is. Alright, let's get that in place. And now we're going to put in windows. And our door. You can do these with the regular doors. I just prefer the look of the reinforced doors and windows. I think they look a lot nicer. Now as you see right here, we've got our basic elemental ship. You can start with what I have here. I went a little bit further, and actually, and I'm going to include 2 different sheets. So I'll show you what it takes to build exactly this ship right here with nothing on it, where it's just a platform, and then to turn it into kind of what I see as sort of a much more useful crafting barge and a good use of the space. So let's check our inventory here. That's all going to be just that stuff. Some of my food here. Extra materials. Let's drop those back off. And we're going to grab the musical boxes. I know what I did. I was going to look for the materials, and I was on the wrong barge. They're so identical and I didn't realize what I was doing. Alright, so now that momentary lapse of brain is over, let's throw this on there. We're going to want the table. We're definitely going to want our smithy and our mortar and pestles. So we're going to start with the one side of the ship. Go. You want to get these as close to the railings again as possible, just because these ships are kind of small. You know, they're not huge, so to give more room for dinosaurs and things like that to be able to be loaded on here, you really want to kind of cramp these things in as much as you can. So this one usually needs a little bit more space behind it because it needs a place to reject items. Alright, perfect. Then we're going to put in a table. With mortar and pestle on top of it. So that makes a really nice little edge of the line there, and the closer you get those stuff, the more room you leave. Down at the end there now we have space. We can put our preserving bin in, which we weren't able to do on our other ship. Let's get these all loaded into place. Last few touches and details, and we're going to put this in here. It's going to go in there. Open up in here. I like to put the bed along this line. Real easy and simple. We have campfires. That's for cooking our meals with, and I like to put them on the back side. You might be tempted to split them up. I've done that too. I just like to keep them side by side now. For the really cold areas, they're kind of close to the wheelhouse here, so it kind of helps heat you up. And then we're going to add our compost bin, because if you use this to transport dinosaurs, there is invariably quite a large amount of compost constantly being created. I actually make a lot of the fertilizer for my main base while I'm on the road. And there you have it. There it is in its entirety. It really wasn't that hard. It took me about 15 minutes to make the whole thing. Once I gathered the materials, which took me probably about, I probably spent maybe an additional hour doing that. We're going to sail it away from the other one. So you can see them side by side. Now, there's a lot of different great uses for these. As you can see, these two are virtually identical. I do build many of these, and then I actually place them around the entire island of the ARK island, so that kind of give me different outposts. It also allows me to keep kind of a stash of extra weapons and clothing there, so I can just spawn right into there from any other bed on any of the other barges. If you have about 12 barges, you really don't need a base. You can keep your dinosaurs right on top of them. I do usually like to have a base though. So I hope you enjoyed this. I don't know why anybody would hope you didn't enjoy the video they make, like some sadistic guys, like, you know, I really hope they hate this video I made. No, I do hope you enjoy it, and just like everybody else, and hopefully you find it useful and you can use this to make some barges of your own. So, ARK on.